All right, let's try something else. We're going to do a Comparadun with a Biot body and see if I can get this done, this set up. I'm going to start our thread about a third of the way down the hook shank and see if we can do a snap like a cool person. Boom. Come down a little bit. So we're going to put in some tail again from these short feathers on the side here. And we're going to do an Adam style tail, a little brown, a little grizzly. So it just looks good. And we're going to be doing a gray fly. So why not? So I ripped off a few brown fibers. That's about 8. I'm going to measure them 1 hook length. Transfer that to the bend of the hook. Oh, I'm going to need to tighten the hook in the vise a little bit. 1 loose wrap to gather them and then pull it tight. There's my brown, and then I'm going to put grizzly on top of that. You can do them both at the same time. I find it a little easier to alternate. Easier to measure them out and transfer them. So I'm just to remind you, I'm combing these fibers down. Then I'm gonna grab, pull down a little bit to even up the tips, and then just rip off a small clump. And that's again about 8 or so fibers, maybe 9. I'm not really counting. 1 loose wrap to gather them, and then cinch down. And I'm gonna pull up and towards me as I go down to the bend of the hook, and I'll keep them from rolling away from me as I go over them. Okay, so that's our Adam style tail. And then for the body, I'm gonna take a Biot, just ripped straight down the feather, this little dangly bit going. Let's see if I remember how to orient this to get the fuzzies on the right side. I'm gonna have the fuzzy sticking out. So I want this darker fuzzy side on the back as I wrap up. So if I have it like this, because I messed up a little bit when I did that spinner. Okay, so I have the fuzzy edge pointed up. I have this wrapped on the near side of the hook with the fuzzy sides up and this notch down, so that when I go to wrap, it's gonna fold and have this fuzzy edge on the back end, and that'll stay sticking up. But before I get ahead of myself, let me wrap forward, spin the bobbin counterclockwise to the left to flatten my thread and make a smooth body, because we didn't have any material. This Biot gets narrower towards the tip, and our hackle stems weren't far enough to come up here, so we need to build up a little body to smooth that out. And okay, that looks good to me. Now we're going to take just a very gentle dab super glue on top of those thread wraps. I'm gonna lengthen this thread a little bit because we're gonna take our biot in our right hand, and with my left hand, I'm going to start spinning the vise, watching that hook point. And just trying to keep nice, even spiral up the body. Let's see, do I want to go a little more? Yeah, just a little. I changed my mind, that was too much. Gotta leave room for the wing. Wrap and pull. Cinch that biot down. And grab my scissors. Give it a snip. Loose fiber there. Okay. There we go. And that makes a nice little segmented body there. Very cute. I should mention, because I didn't mention it in the one with the spinner, that thread color can make a big difference when you're wrapping these biot bodies, because if I pull it up again, if I pull up the feather, I don't know how well you can see, but these biots are pretty translucent, especially when they get wet. So if you use a light colored thread like I'm using here, it'll actually lighten up your body a fair bit as it comes through, compared to using black thread. You can actually throw some subtle variations in there. Okay, now we're making a comparadun. It might look like I haven't left myself enough room, but I'll show you what we're gonna do. I've got some deer hair stacked and ready. I'm gonna transfer that if I can. A little extra stacking. I'm gonna pull that out of the stacker, my left hand, if I can, while reaching around the camera. And of note, when I clipped this, I made sure to pluck out all the fuzzies and loose fibers, get this nice and clean. I'm gonna grab this little bunch. It's a good little pinch. How much would I say this is? A little less than half a pencil width. Maybe about 2.5 toothpicks worth. Okay, so I got my hair going this way. I'm gonna measure out 1 shank length of hair. And that's kinda where my finger is. Yeah. So I'm gonna carefully transfer that to my other hand. And I'm just gonna take a scissor and cut it as square off as I can. Like so. This does take a little practice, but when you master it, it makes things go a lot faster. So, got this little pile of hair. I'm going to place the edge of my cut ends right behind my thread. I'm going to take 1 loose wrap, bump the camera a little bit. Let's see. Might have to not talk while I do this. It's a little fiddly. 1, 2 loose wraps. And then I'm gonna pull tight. Flare that hair out like that. And maybe I can get one more wrap on there just for security. And then I'm going to fold this wing back. I'm going to come in front. I'm going to build up a little thread dam. I'm going to fold this hair back as I build up the thread to help it stay upright. I got a little loose hair there. Poke that off. So what we've got is a little Comparadun, a little life preserve in the back. And I could have done that neater. I could have gone even flusher and saved me this extra step of having to trim these butt ends. But then I wouldn't get to show you how to clean up your own mistakes. What you're kind of doing, just building a little life preserve on the back. It's basically the head of an elk-hair caddis. And when you get good at it, as I clearly need more practice, it makes a nice little neat ball on the back there, but a small one. I'm having to come back in and trim it. And ideally, you keep as much hair on top of the hook and not too much underneath. There we go. Spread that out a little bit. And then we just need to put a little dubbing in the front in order to anchor that hair there. So I'm going to grab some wax. And a little bit of Adam's Gray dubbing. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. I can always add more. And dub it, a thin noodle, and one more pinch. There we go, it's a very thin little noodle. That allows us to get back in here and put some wraps in front of that deer hair and really flush that wing up. I think my focus is still good. I've been bumping things a bit more than in the spinner video. Tighten up that noodle. Can I get one more wrap in front of it? Yeah. Okay. And then this synthetic dubbing can be a little pain to get off your thread, so I just pull it loose off the thread when I'm done. Take a wrap. Sometimes I'll wrap over it like it's big. It is basically a bit of leftover yarn. I can just trim it away. Natural fiber will come right off, but these long synthetic fibers can be a little bit annoying. Okay, so all that's left is a quick whip finish. All that's left is to knock the thread off while reaching around the camera. Take 2 fingers, like so. Pull that up and go like so. I'll show you one more time. 2 fingers, thread over top the old thread, and then with the thread that's attached to the fly, you wrap over the thread coming from the bobbin. And of course, I should point out that if you don't have the exact right color thread, you can always come in with a little Sharpie at the very end just color up your head that way. There we go. I like to color it on the thread because sometimes when I take that Sharpie up here, I accidentally loosen something or I color the wrong thing. There we go. And then a little bit of head cement, or in this case, clear nail polish. I think any clear nail polish will do. Though Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails is the cheapest and super strong. I think they have like an extreme wear one that's pretty good too for this kind of stuff. And I should mention, well, first, let me make sure I'm still in focus. Let me clear up that hook eye with a little feather scrap. But I should mention that one nice thing about the nail polish is it'll blend, or rather dissolve, any Sharpie got. Like this was some brown marker. And give it a nice little translucent effect. Can make for a very glossy head. If I'm doing a decorative head on a fly, even if it's black, I'll add a little black Sharpie, and then that'll mix into the nail polish and make it look like I've used black lacquer. Okay, I'm just gonna trim up this life preserver a little bit. Make sure we don't have any trapped hairs. And there we go. That's a nice little Comparadun. I could have done a little better. I think this wing is a bit tall, but I don't know. I haven't done this pattern that much. It looks pretty good. Bottom looks pretty good. And the nice thing about this is you don't have to worry about burying those deer hair butts like you usually have to do on Comparadun. Normal way you have to do it is you have to tie in the deer hair and then bury the butts and then build a body over that. This allows you to use that Biot and get a nice thin body. All right, signing off.